Last year we set out on the biggest adventure of our lives, riding off-road motorcycles from LA to the southern tip of South America. In the first leg we rode over 4,000 miles through Mexico, and this year we're picking back up where we left off in southern Mexico near the border of Guatemala. Over the course of a month we rode south through Baja, took a ferry to Mazatlan, continued through the towering volcanoes of central Mexico, and eventually made it to the Guatemala border. Along the way we met Ivan, who's part of a motorcycle club in Chiapas who agreed to store our bikes for an entire year until we returned to continue on. This year the plan is to ride through Central America all the way to Panama City. We'll be traveling through 6 countries: Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and finally to the Darien Gap in Panama. The first step was flying back to our bikes in southern Mexico. City lights carpeted the earth. I couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed by it all. It's funny, when we left last year, we all felt so comfortable here. Everything was familiar, everything was welcoming. I guess it's because when you ride somewhere, things change gradually, day by day, mile by mile. Places slowly creep into your life rather than all of a sudden. After landing in Mexico City, we spent a day doing some more planning before we had to fly to the clubhouse in Chiapas the next day.
The boys be researching for the trip, like...
When we landed in Tuxtla Gutierrez in Chiapas, our friends Ivan and Julio picked us up and brought us to get some much-needed tacos, and then back to the clubhouse for the night.
Who wants a beer?
I would love one. So initially the plan was we were going to fly down to Tuxtla and then leave as soon as we get our bikes ready tomorrow. But our friends Ivan and Julio, they're part of this motorcycle club, and they have this clubhouse, and there's a bunch of other members, and there's some sort of like, he called it a reunion tomorrow night where a bunch of them are just coming here and hanging out and drinking and having fun. So they invited us, so we could not say no. So we're staying here another night. Tomorrow we're just gonna work on the bikes, and the rest of the night we're just gonna soak in the fact that the trip is actually starting. And we were so stoked to be there, and so grateful to Ivan and Julio for all the help they'd given us.
They couldn't have done more for us. Like, I think like in every aspect of everything that we needed help with, they like were just there, like on top of it. Like, we've been communicating with them for the last like month or 2 months about like tires and this and that and parts, and so like just we owe them a huge thank you. So.
Today we'd be picking up our bikes, going on a ride with Ivan, and then getting them prepped for the trip. There they are. Let's go.
Yay!
Look at these blinkers.
Look at these blinkers.
How's she feel, Jesse?
So good. Definitely taller than before, but
Yeah?
yeah, so definitely want to ride around.
We're all riding DR650s, which we love, but the stock suspension isn't great, so we had Ivan's mechanics install brand new ones from Kojin, as well as make a few other upgrades. Alright, so now that we did a little test ride here, we're going to take a ride to a really beautiful canyon that's nearby, just kind of feel things out. It feels so freaking good to be back on the bike. Alright, so now that we have the bikes, we have a ton of packing to do. Our stuff is just everywhere right now. So for the course of the next couple hours, we're hopefully gonna get it all loaded up on the bikes and get everything how we want. So cut to frickin' time lapse.
Epic sunburn.
Nice. It's definitely crept up on me.
As the day turned to night, the bikes were almost ready, and members of the motorcycle club started showing up. It was amazing hanging out with all of them. They had done a ton of riding. Like this guy named Paco. He'd ridden from Chiapas all the way down to Ushuaia in South America, Alaska, and all over the world. We had a few beers, and they gave us some advice for our ride to the Guatemala border the next morning. Last year, a couple miles north of the border where we had to cancel our vehicle permits, we got held up at a gas station by 10 cartel members with machine guns. Luckily, they ended up letting us pass, but we had to pass that same area this year. Ivan assured us it would be fine, but we shouldn't stop for any reason until the actual border. Alright, so it is really early. Where we're crossing the border, we were told, is super important to show up early and to just haul ass and get there as soon as possible. Ivan, being the amazing person that he is actually meeting us here this early and kind of escorting us off to the highway, which is super cool. So we're just getting our stuff together and we're gonna roll out. Here we go. Last night, Ivan, before we left, he gave us these like Chiapas bands, which was so cool.
I have the rare Moscow Chiapas branded tank bag.
That's
They're one of one.
So we're stopped at the grocery store right now. There's like some groups kind of fighting for control of the area. We're seeing like a lot of guys with big ARs and stuff walking around, like military people. So we're definitely gonna keep our heads on a swivel, and we got full gas tanks now. So hopefully we make it to the border all clear.
Well, we freaking made it to the border, but it was honestly probably the most stressed I've ever been while riding. There was like, probably at least 6 checkpoints. Some were police, some were military, some were just random people.
Like groups of like 80 people, like civilians.
Trying to get all our paperwork sorted. Hopefully it doesn't take too long so we have time to ride to where we want to camp tonight. Adios! We are at the border here, and this has to be the weirdest border I've ever been to. It's just like a pop-in town, and there's just one guy. Passports are now stamped, so now it's off to the next office to deal with getting our bikes in. It was here that we ran into our first major issue of the trip. Jonah and I had made the dumb mistake of bringing just copies of our motorcycle paperwork, and we couldn't get the bikes into Guatemala without the originals. We'd have to either have our documents shipped here, which would take 4 days minimum, or figure something else out.
Danny and I can't go into Guatemala with the bikes, and we canceled our permits to Mexico, so it's really like a 3-mile area in the world right now where our motorcycles are like allowed to be.
We have 2 like Central American motorcycle group chats that we got put in the last day. So I think we should probably try talking to them and see if they have any advice.
Not great, but we will persevere. Jesse almost immediately got a response from someone in the motorcycle group chat named Jose, who just happened to live in La Mesilla and offered to help if he could. So we may not have had the best luck today, but look at that sunset. That night, Jose invited us to dinner. Once we got to the address he sent, we realized that he and his family run a street food stall, and it was some of the best food we had all trip. We hung out, ate, and the whole experience just made us feel so welcome. The best part about travel is the people you meet. People that you didn't even know existed just hours before can quickly feel like family. The next morning, we went full force into logistics mode to figure out how we'd get across. All right, so we have some big news on this trip. Jesse, can you tell us what's in your hand right now?
The world's most useless contraption. You not say more?
It looks to me like it's a chair.
It is chair. And I hope this video never gets published.
Jesse, how do you feel?
I feel like I fucking hate this chair. Sucks ass.
Jesse did not bring a chair on this trip, so every time we set up camp, me and Danny are just like, God, I'm so comfy. And Jesse's just
On the ground.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've like literally never been so uncomfortable my whole life.
How's the chair?
Terrible. Well, everything hurts.
That day when we looked outside, we realized just how beautiful La Mesilla actually was. Across the border in Mexico, the landscape was a dry, high desert, but Guatemala greeted us with towering green mountains and lush jungle. It was gorgeous and reminded us that even when things are going wrong, not to forget to take a second to look around. Without spending too much time on details, we came up with a plan. So we soaked in our last sunset here and prayed to the border gods that the plan would work. All right, so if you couldn't tell by me holding an official document and all of us gearing up in all of our riding gear, we figured out a solution. We basically had one pretty decent solution and then a bunch that were way worse. The pretty decent solution, which involved doing a slight bit of finessing on our entry, totally worked. So now we're good to go. Finally, the trip is gonna start, and we honestly just could not be freaking more stoked to get on the dirt, get on other roads, and just get out of here, even though it's been beautiful.
Jonah's riding gear, just so you know, since Danny said that we're all wearing our riding gear, is underwear.
This is true.
Muchas gracias para todos. Freaking out of here. Today the plan is to first obviously cross over the border right up here, and then we're heading off on some dirt tracks towards a place called Laguna Brava. The actual border gate just looks like this, which is pretty hilarious. We got our first sighting of the Guatemala flag, which should be home for about 10 days. Let's go Guatemala! If you're wondering how we plan these trips, we basically find a rough route, find cool stuff along the way that we want to see, then search through motorcycle forums and Google Earth to find the twistiest, dirtiest roads possible from point A to point B. Jesse usually takes lead on that. One of the coolest parts about seeing a country from the back of a dirt bike is you can pretty much go anywhere. Dirt tracks that a normal traveler wouldn't have any way of accessing are not only doable on the bikes, but way more fun than pavement. We got a local tip about a massive sinkhole hidden in the hills, so we made our way there. No way. Oh my god. We have been in the sun all day and super sweaty just doing all this dirt on the bikes. So we are instantly giving it a sand.
I don't think we've ever been to somewhere like this cool, this big, with this much like, I don't know, like ladders and everything, just like completely by ourselves, no staff. Really fun, cool.
After the cenote, we headed out to a remote lake called Laguna Brava to look for a spot to camp. Certifiably.
Fuck yeah.
Certifiably,
A very,
fuck yeah.
very dope campsite to start the trip off with, truly.
Yeah, thanks guys.
You want to give a quick rundown of our food situation tonight?
Absolutely. So tonight what we're working with is 8 tortillas, which is actually pretty great.
And they're big tortillas, not small tortillas.
And they're pretty big.
Wow.
So on a normal night, we could survive on that alone. But tonight we also have the luxury of 2 cans of beans, which have a bunch of more delectable ingredients in them than we originally thought when we got them. So we're just like running into surprises tonight. And then we also have 2 cans of tuna, which actually spent the last year in my pannier bags. And we're actually from last year's trip.
Hey, Jesse,
Yo.
how you liking the chair now?
Well, the best thing about this chair, now that I've had some time to think about it, is that yeah, I can't think of anything.
Well, how come you're sitting in it instead of on the ground then?
I don't want you guys to feel bad.
We don't. That morning, Jesse rode to a dirt track we saw way in the distance. As he rode down, it got so steep and loose that he couldn't get the bike back up the hill and had no way of letting us know. Jonah spotted him on the drone pushing the bike and crashing, and I rode down to help. After 15 minutes of him wrestling with the bike, another car happened to come around the corner, and 3 incredibly nice people helped him push the bike. Luckily, he made it back safe, and we left camp for the lake.
It's really cool on these trips because I feel like usually only a few spots from different countries this size like end up making it out into the interwebs, and so like be able to come here and ride the bikes through these mountain passes and like hit all these landscapes that at least I had really no idea that it was going to look exactly like this. It's just really cool.
One thing I really enjoy in like the lead up to these trips and during them, I guess as well, is that I end up doing a bunch of research about places that I know pretty much nothing about, and trying to find these little tracks that lead to cool places is pretty hard if you don't know anything about the place. And so I've spent a lot of time mostly on motorcycle forums, just like trying to find the people on the forum who either live in or have been to these places a lot and talking to them. And so like this cenote we went to yesterday was really sick, and like I had no idea it existed, and I just DM'd some dude on this forum called ADD Rider, and suddenly we were at this like insanely sick cenote down a 20-mile dirt road. So I love just like the process of getting all the local knowledge from people as we go.
We spent some time exploring the lakeshore before finding some guy to cook us a delicious breakfast. We needed to fuel up because we had a long day ahead of us. Today we are headed off on some dirt track towards Lake Atitlan. It might take us a few days to get there. So far, Guatemala has been incredible. These these towns are so pretty. They're just so colorful and full of energy and people running around doing things. And everybody's staring at us. I bet they basically never get tourists coming through here. Our next spot is a high alpine area, so we're just gonna grab some food and then head in that direction. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're 3 days in and haven't had a flat tire yet? Is this really even an episode of Southbound? Well, as they say, the trip doesn't start until someone gets a flat tire. I think that might just be what we say. But anyways, I am the first culprit. We were just going up this like dirt path and my rear went out and I was just going up and like moving around a ton. I was like, what is going on? We're gonna unload the bags and hopefully get this thing changed quickly because we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, and find a good camp spot for the night because the sun is going down soon. Shout out these Moscow bags. They're just so easy to take off because of the massive amount of flat tires we're gonna have. That dirt.
Oh, I found the source of your flat. Huh. What could it be?
It could be something else.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's this.
What do tire irons do?
They iron your tires. Smaller bites. This one too. Buenas tardes. Hola.
So we got Danny's flat mostly changed, so we're gonna head up this trail behind us here and just try and find like a cool alpine pine tree campsite for the night.
Wow. Holy shit.
We scored pretty good on campsites.
This is insane.
And piss views.
I was gonna put my tent right there.
Cool.
Feel free. Just under 12,000 feet, which that's actually pretty insane.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that at all in Guatemala.
I feel like it's been a theme of this ride. We just keep coming over ridge lines and we're like, oh, that's sick. Oh! Like, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's just like one ecosystem, and then you crest a ridgeline, and you just enter like a desert from a jungle. All of a sudden, it's just like, where the fuck am I?
Hell yeah, boys.
So high up, I'm out of breath from just getting out of my sleeping bag.
Dude, it's insane that we're above the clouds right now.
Way above.
How'd you sleep?
Okay. I was cold from like 9 to midnight, and then I was fine from like midnight to 3, and then I was cold from 3 to 5.
So I was just trying to figure out what Jesse's opinion is on now waking up and actually owning a chair.
I had all these fucking terrible dreams last night, and then I just wake up and I'm in one.
It's the worst.
Today we'd be headed off to Lake Atitlan, as usual on the twistiest roads we could find.
Slippery.
We were in the high country, so the mountainous villages that we traveled to got really cold. Huge piles of firewood were all over town.
This is what traffic looks like in Guatemala. Hey guys. This guy is hung as a horse. Oh, it's moving around.
The riding was incredible. Progress was slow but rewarding. The road composition was apparently 50% dirt and 50% nails.
Well, I am also the culprit now of the second flat of the trip. Same tire. We figured the flat was like kind of related to my last flat, but it's completely its own freaking nail straight in my tube again. How? Same tire too.
Another one.
DJ Khaled. L. Fuck you, buddy. 30 minutes later, and we're good to go.
So we just drove like 20 feet and I got a flat. So we are eternally stuck in this town, but there are some locals around us who have been super, super nice that Danny's been learning like a handshake with, which has been great.
Let's go.
That will certainly do it. What's your good stuff? Boom, 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 boom.
After getting 2 flats in this town, we could not figure out how to escape. We went down road after road, all to dead ends, and weirdly the people there weren't helping us at all.
And I don't understand.
After being stuck for about 20 minutes, we finally found an escape. Eventually, we made it back to the Pan Am Highway and hauled ass to Lake Atitlan. We really try not to ride at night, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Sunrise over the lake was beautiful. Towering volcanoes flanked the massive, calm lake. The sounds of the tropics crept through the hotel windows. We were in San Pedro, which is a steep terrace town with tons of food, small shops, and tight, narrow streets. We spent 2 nights here enjoying the town and just soaking it all in. We also needed to rest because our plan after this was to climb a volcano called a Catenango, a massive 13,000 foot tall volcano that overlooks another volcano called Volcán de Fuego. As you can imagine, Fuego is active.
So we are heading out of Lake Atitlan today, specifically San Pedro, and unfortunately my back rim is bent, so these guys are going to do a little bit of a dirt track and then I'm going to take the more direct route. Hopefully get that fixed and then we're going to meet at the foot of the volcano.
So we now are hopping off road. We're now airing down tires to make sure we can get a little bit more traction on dirt and hopefully not eat shit.
Those were fast and grippy, and we hauled ass.
So we're going down to scope whether or not we think going over this bridge or going through the water is a better plan for the bikes. Yeah, definitely not.
So I have made it to Antigua. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any motorcycle shops to repair my rim, but I think it should be fine for the next little bit. I was actually here 4 years ago on a video job, and it's so freaking crazy to be here again. I just can't believe we drove here from Jonah's driveway. There's the volcano we're climbing tomorrow.
We stopped to get food at a tiny village and met a group of kids who were so excited about the bikes. Having happy moments with strangers along the way is so much of what makes each day of riding fulfilling.
Adios.
We were just going down this crazy steep stuff and kind of wandered upon this little hut.
It seemed like the perfect spot for a little snack.
Very, very tiny banana.
We pushed farther through the jungle to meet Danny, steadily climbing higher as we got closer to the base of Acatenango.
We just made it to this little place that is sort of a campground. In the morning, we'll head up to the summit. After Jonah and Jesse arrived, we climbed on one of the roofs and soaked in one of the most incredible sunsets we'd ever seen. Base camp was at 8,000 feet, so seas of clouds swirled around us as the volcanoes loomed overhead. As the sun sank down, we started talking to someone named Widman, who was one of the owners of the base camp we were staying at. We had planned to start our trek at 4 a.m., but Widman told us we'd miss seeing the glow of the lava if we didn't make it before sunrise. Most people take 2 days to do the trek, but we just didn't have time. It didn't take much convincing for us to change our departure time to midnight. There would be almost no sleep for us tonight, but Widman was super kind and let us stay in one of their unused buildings. Jonah, you ready? After an hour and a half of sleep.
I don't think I got an hour and a half of sleep.
That's being generous. It is 12:08, and we're about to hike a volcano.
No!
Here we are on a cool 90 minutes, 2 hours of sleep maybe, and got, 5 miles and 5,000 feet of gain ahead of us? Something like that?
Yeah.
Couldn't be better.
We're at 11,400 feet right now, so we've got roughly like 1,500 left. We've been hiking for like a couple hours now, and it is starting to get quite cold. So hopefully when we get to the top, we're not gonna freeze.
slept for an hour on this gravel at 12,300 feet.
Almost precisely 11 hours later, we finally made it back. Holy crap. We are functioning at like 5% capacity right now, but we're gonna ride as far as we can east towards our next location. After we completed the climb, we were exhausted, but made our way to Guatemala City, where we'd spend the night before heading to our next destination. My pannier racks were kind of falling apart, so the next day we made a quick stop at a welder to get that fixed. Wow, this thing looks great. See? Looks great. Love sexy lady. Yeah. As it got dark, we pulled into our next destination, a blue oasis in the jungle called Samuk-Champe. These trips can be hectic, fast, and tiring. So mornings like this, where we get to slow down in nature, are so special. It allows us to take a deep breath and recharge before stepping back into the chaos. This is our first rain of the trip. It's pretty nice, actually. Kind of washed all the dust off of all of our gear and stuff. Hopefully it doesn't make the roads too slippery. But we have about a 6-hour drive today. We're going all the way down to the El Salvador border and then hopefully gonna cross early next morning. So it's gonna be a wet ride. As we left, we passed a ton of huge excavators and dump trucks plowing a massive paved road into the place. If we ever visited again, we knew it'd look a lot different. Today we'd be covering as much ground as we could and get as close to the El Salvador border as possible. During these trips, we only have a limited amount of time and an infinite amount of stuff to see, so we have to make sacrifices sometimes. Given our time restraints, we decided to just bomb straight from Guatemala, through El Salvador, through Honduras to Nicaragua.
Crossing's gone good so far. I found the building all right, and we're just happy we got through the first stage of security without them finding any of the copious amounts of drugs and cocaine and paraphernalia, weapons, that kind of thing, artillery. So hopefully we'll make it through to the next stage. Okay.
No, but seriously. Stamped out of Guatemala. Now we are going to El Salvador, gonna stamp in there, and then hopefully get our import permits for El Salvador. So something I am quite worried about with this border crossing is the fact that while we were driving sometime in the last few days, my license plate just literally ripped off of the edges of it and it's just gone. So hopefully they accept no license plate, because there's no way for me to get one at all. We've been dealing with border stuff for about 3.5 hours, but we just finished up and this is what they gave me. So they said it's okay, but you just have to use this. It's a handwritten license plate.
And these borders can take really long time, and this one was like 4+ hours or something, so we are super stoked to get finally on the road and get the hell out of here.
Nicaragua doesn't allow drones, so we had to make a quick stop to ship our drones from El Salvador to a DHL office in Costa Rica.
We met this guy, Steve, who's on like kind of a similar long motorcycle trip as us at our hotel last night. We were talking to him for a while. Someone from the hotel said he left this for us. A really nice note and a little bit of cash from like all the different countries that he's been through that we're going to be going through. The community of all the riders is so tight-knit, and it's kind of like this cool family that spans like over multiple continents. It's really, really cool how nice people are. They were leaving El Salvador, trying to get to Nicaragua, but there's like 70 miles of Honduras in between that. Unfortunately, we kind of have to skip Honduras on this trip because of just how long we have. So we have a whole day of 2 different border crossings today. So hopefully it goes as smoothly as possible.
We're good to go. So now we're gonna push through Honduras for the day and then hopefully get into Nicaragua by tonight. Oh my God, AC. Stamped out of Honduras for the bikes and passports, and now we're on to Nicaragua, which we've heard is probably the most challenging border, so I'm pretty worried about my license plate situation, but we'll see if this works. So we've been sitting at the Nicaragua border for like, I think almost 3 hours now at this point, and they haven't checked my bike yet for the license plate, so hopefully that all works out. But today is just one of those like pretty freaking tough days. So current situation is I definitely can't go to Nicaragua. My license plate, because it's not there, is a huge issue, and they're just saying, no, you're not getting in without a plate. And it's gonna take a month to get a new plate. We are a little fucked here. Not really sure what to do.
So we've been at the border trying to get into Nicaragua for 6 hours. Currently shirtless, sitting on the pavement. It's so fucking hot. Doing everything we can. And fuck. If you ever decide to do a trip like this, just know it's going to be really fun a lot of the time and really not fun some of the time. But at least there are some dogs here that seem to understand what we're going through, and they seem to have some sympathy and want to comfort the situation. How do they all want it?
We did choose to be here. At this point, our only option was for me to bring my bike back to Honduras and store it in some guy's living room for the night, snag a hotel across the border in Nicaragua, and then the plan was to make a good-looking temporary plate in the morning.
Cheers to paperwork.
Cheers to being really mad at border officials.
So in no time at all, we have a temporary plate that was sent to me by the DMV. So we're kind of just crossing our fingers here, hoping they accept it. Looks pretty official, but our fate is a little bit up in the air. Unfortunately, they did not accept my temporary plate. Not really sure what to do. Jonah and Jesse were good to go, so after a long, tough conversation, we decided they would continue on, but just at a much slower pace so I'd have the chance to catch them when I figured my situation out.
Love you.
That fucking sucks. Right now, Danny has just crossed the border back into Honduras. Jesse and I are headed down towards the beach on the coast of Nicaragua. It's gonna be really fucking weird continuing the trip farther south while Danny is just a country or two ahead of us. We're really, really hopeful that Danny will get back with us within a few days, hopefully. So, but we're gonna fucking miss him a lot. So I am officially solo. It's a pretty weird feeling, but I'm gonna head to the hotel tonight, try to figure things out from there.
While Jonah and Jesse were packing up, a truck full of border guards with assault rifles showed up and demanded to know where I was. They thought I had somehow snuck in. It wasn't until Jonah showed them my location on his phone that they left. They were clearly taking this situation very seriously. We have some potential leads on solutions to this problem, but I sort of internally am just preparing myself for the worst and just kind of coming to terms with the fact that maybe this trip is sort of over for me. Which sucks, but still have hope that we will figure out a better solution.
We rode out towards the coastline, looking for beaches to ride. As we headed towards Volcano, we wanted to camp near that night. We eventually ran into a big river mouth blocking our path to the volcano. Based off the info we had, we'd thought it would be shallow enough to cross, but there was no chance. Riding around it would take several hours, so we rode along the beach looking for someone with a boat who might be able to take us across. The first building we approached belonged to a fisherman who was running his own sea turtle rehabilitation center. He agreed to take us and our bikes across the channel and then brought out a much smaller boat than we thought he would.
Alright, we're putting the bikes on this little boat and then crossing the channel. Hopefully the boat does not flip over. Oh, shit. That was the sickest. I can't fucking believe we just did that.
Alright, so a little update here. I'm currently at the El Salvador border. This morning I left Honduras pretty early, got up to the border, just finally got all my documents, and now I'm headed to a town called La Union, which has a big port that hopefully I can send my bike to Costa Rica with. Crossing my fingers, really hope this works, because every other option just isn't super appealing or necessarily legal. And considering that Nicaragua has made it very clear that they don't like me, I don't really want to try again and potentially end up in a Nicaraguan prison. I am at a hotel right now. And that's because I got to the port today and basically they just were like there's no boats, like you can't be taken over to Costa Rica. So it is the weekend, so a lot of the leads that we have aren't responding. So I think for me it's just gonna be a bit of a waiting game, but I'm gonna try to make the most of my time while I'm over here.
Riding highway speeds right next to the waves on the beach was such a wild and freeing feeling. We eventually turned inland and headed towards camp for the night.
Wow, you look so red. Holy shit. Tiny little baby horse. Hi. Whoa. Wow. ¿Para qué? ¿Para comer? See? Hi. This is an entertaining road.
We found camp underneath one of the most beautiful trees we'd ever seen.
This is like the most epic climbing tree maybe I've ever been in.
Yeah, same.
After we got bit by 18 too many ants, we headed back down and fell asleep under the giant canopy. We woke up to the sound of a million tiny creatures surrounding us, and then hiked through the jungle to see the lake and the crater of the volcano.
Alright, we finally found the camp spot down on the beach, which we've been trying to do for a couple nights. We just loaded the bags off of the bikes, take the weight off. We're just gonna go rip the bikes around for the rest of the sunset on the beach and have a good time. We wish Danny was here so bad. Right now he's in El Salvador, and we've been trying to help him, like coordinating with different Facebook groups and WhatsApp chats of different people around the country and around Central America. And we're like crossing our fingers that tomorrow it works out, but we hope to see him in the next few days. For now, we're just gonna have to imagine him here with us.
So I've spent the last 2 nights just staying in hotels, just figuring out logistics and planning and everything. But it seems like kind of a shame to just miss out on seeing some cool stuff in El Salvador. So right now I'm gonna head out and head up to the top of the mountain and do a little bit of solo camping, which is definitely gonna be a little bit weird without Jonah and Jesse. But I just definitely think being out in nature could definitely help my mindset right now. So gonna get some food and then head up. The place I went to was beautiful, and getting some time in nature definitely helped my mental state. But the loneliness was creeping in. This all just didn't feel the same alone. People always question what's more important, the journey or the destination. But in this moment, I knew it wasn't either. It was the company. Yesterday, I decided to do a little bit of solo camping just to kind of get my mind off of everything. And it was so beautiful, like overlooking all these different islands and stuff. It was amazing for sunset. And then rolled into bed, and basically right after that, the wind just kicked up like crazy. And somehow moving around, I popped my sleeping mattress. So at this point, I was sleeping on basically just flagstone, and it was like so windy you couldn't even hear or think. Like I had my earplugs in, and it was just like banging around. I could not sleep. And then to top it all off, one of my tent poles just broke in half because of the wind. It was also just so weird, like camping alone. So I ended up booking a hotel by the beach, hoping that would maybe cheer me up a little bit. Currently, I am just kind of in a waiting game to get a replacement license plate sent out. I called in some favors and was able to get a pretty realistic looking one. So that's being sent out now, and I just have to kind of play my odds and go to the border and see if it works. If it doesn't, I'm really not sure what to do at all. The last few days have definitely been feeling pretty low and stuck, so hopefully the license plate plan works. We'll see.
So today we are heading south farther down along the Nicaraguan coastline. We also need to coordinate with Danny because it's Monday again, businesses are going to be opening and there's a higher likelihood that maybe he'll be able to get past Nicaragua down to Costa Rica where we can meet him. It's been so beautiful waking up to the sound of the ocean and just like seeing the sun come up in the tent, like kind of through the leaves of the beach plants that were camped underneath. Birds kind of like whipping past our tent this morning in the dark as the sun rose. It's just really, really, really beautiful. One thing to note about this trip is it's like 10% of the whole trip is packing. Like to get from camping mode to riding mode and back and forth during the day, especially in like sandy, wet conditions, it takes a really long time. So a lot of the trip is just like finding different ways and processes to like make your packing and your transition times like more efficient.
There's also the whole gotta be efficient. There's also the aspect of there's also the aspect of like if everything's wet and sandy, trying not to get everything else wet and sandy, which is shockingly difficult. And then also when there's bugs, you have to like wear lots of clothes so you don't get destroyed by bugs.
But it's also then hot.
But then it's hot, which means your clothes get wet, you sweat, which means they attract more sand. It's sort of a catch-33.
Farther south through Nicaragua to a volcanic island called Ometepe that's in the middle of a lake the size of Puerto Rico.
Alright, so it is February 21st today. We first tried crossing into the Nicaragua border on the 15th, so essentially it's been almost a week of trying to figure this out. We basically have quite a few options that are really shitty and basically cause me to miss out on the entire rest of the trip, and then one last ditch option that might be able to get me across the border in the next day or two. Currently, that last ditch option is in the mail and expected to arrive at a hotel in Honduras either today or tomorrow. So the plan today is to pack everything up, head out. I have one more border crossing to get back into Honduras, and then hopefully, like I said, either tonight or tomorrow that package will be there. And then as soon as I have that package, it's straight to the border, and honestly, at that point, it's just crossing fingers and really hoping that it works. I'm here for the third time in the last week. These border people must just be really wondering what's going on. So there's one vehicle permit canceled. Just need to stamp out of El Salvador, stamp into Honduras, and then get my bike into Honduras. And these crossings are becoming quite routine, so that one actually went super smoothly. Now it's off to the hotel. That night, the package hadn't arrived. Then the next day rolled around. Still no package. Then Friday rolled around. Still nothing. Well, it is Friday, which marks 1 week since I have been stuck here. Today I called DHL because the package was supposed to be here today, and they said it's stuck in customs, and they don't think the customs work over the weekend. I think we all just give up a lot to go on these trips. It's like a month where we can't work and we're away from home, away from girlfriends, away from family, and just the thought that I'm just spending that time stuck in a random place in Honduras is definitely unfortunate. Trying to find a bright note to end this video on, but I can't really think of anything. Ooh, I actually do possess one Snickers bar, so that is probably the highlight. So I'm going to eat that and then go to sleep and maybe have an update tomorrow, but also maybe not. But at least I have Snickers.
Not much happened on Ometepe. We explored and Jesse tried to climb the volcano but got turned away because he didn't have a guide, so we took the ferry back and crossed into Costa Rica. The border process was so unclear and complex that it felt like an escape room, but we finally made it through and Costa Rica greeted us with a beautiful sunset as we looked for camp.
We're becoming increasingly concerned by how many large holes there are in the ground, seemingly by some sort of extremely numerous creature. So I hope this isn't like foreshadowing some horrible experience we're gonna have tonight.
Do you like tent worms? Because I like tent worms.
Right.
We ended up deciding that we just didn't want to stay and find out, so we rode around in the dark and eventually found another spot for the night.
I was just reading a book in my underwear and boots, like the most stylish outfit so far. This car just pulls up. We're in the middle of nowhere. This guy rolls up in Spanish. He was just like, "Oh, you guys camping? Nice." Just like laughing at my underwear and boots combo. And he's like showing the land that we're on to some guy to buy. Very, very interesting morning.
Right after we turned onto our track for the day, we ran into a water crossing big enough to be an issue. But, proving to be a theme, if we couldn't cross it, there was no good way around without riding hours in a direction we didn't want to go.
If the bikes fall in water that deep, they can kind of be the end of the bike. We're gonna take all of our bags off of our bikes, carry them across, and then both push one bike through together. It's gonna take a little bit, but I think probably better than dumping the bikes in a bunch of water. Have to de-wet ourselves and keep going. I'm so stoked to finally have found some monkeys. I'm so happy.
It'd been a really long, super hot day, so we found a spot on the beach to crash and fell asleep to the sound of the waves. That morning, we quickly realized our camp spot had the best view in Costa Rica.
Headbutted me in the elbow to get me to pet him at like 10 miles an hour.
We said goodbye to our new friends and rode up into the mountains to escape the heat. As we were riding along a ridgeline, we started hearing this humming sound lasting for miles, but riding with our earplugs in, we just assumed it was the power lines. It wasn't until something much weirder happened that we stopped and figured out what was actually going on.
What the hell?
So we just had to stop because we were riding and kept feeling like we were getting rained on, but obviously completely blue skies, it's not raining. And we just stopped and looked at this tree, and there's thousands and thousands of cicadas that are like creating a shocking amount of water.
It turns out we were riding through millions of cicadas peeing a sugary liquid called honeydew. Since the tree sap is really diluted with water, they have to drink it basically non-stop to get the nutrients they need, and therefore basically pee non-stop.
It feels like we're going through actual patches of rain when we're riding. It's insane.
That is ungodly loud. That is crazy.
In swarms like this, they can get over 100 decibels, about the same as standing next to a lawnmower.
Plagues of Egypt type shit. Seriously.
As the sun got lower in the sky a few hours later, the fast and fun dirt roads we've been riding got steep and loose.
Oh my god. Shit. Fucking hell.
On the downhill, it got even worse, and by the time we were unsure if we should keep going, it was too steep and loose to be able to turn the bikes around.
Wow, this is steep. You right?
That's not bad.
What?
My ankle landed under my pannier.
Fuck. This shit is extremely loose and super steep, and I'm like stuck on the bike, not being able to go back there, so we're gonna keep going down this real fucking slow.
It'd been over an hour of this in the heat, and we started having doubts. At this point, it was hard to think, and it only got steeper and started switchbacking. We were way too far away from any towns to afford having a serious injury, and we thought we might have to slide the bikes all the way down the hill on their side.
I think this is really only a trail intentionally made for horses. The part that Jesse just went down, we had to take his bags off so that we could make the bike later to make the chances of tipping over lower. It's a steep fucking hill. We're so hot, I'm dripping sweat. Hopefully make it down this thing all right. It should flatten out, so.
We just got to a town.
Holy fuck.
Got a cold Coke. And we're not dead, but we are the sweatiest
Ever. It's simply an objective fact.
We're just happy to be off that track in one piece, so hopefully we can find a hotel tonight to kind of rest, and if not, we'll be sleeping in wherever. In the mountain somewhere.
We shall see.
This has been a long day. Right now, we're super in the middle of the jungle. We were feeling super beat, so we were like, all right, let's try and find a hotel for the night. We found one that was like 25 minutes away or something. It looked quite remote, but we were like, it has like reviews. The road ended up getting quite gnarly, and then I tipped the bike over down like a downhill loose section, and now my battery died. So we're very close to the supposed hotel, and Jesse's like riding up to see if it actually exists. The trail out of the ravine towards the hotel got worse, and Jesse crashed in the dark. He barely made it up just to find that it was just a pitch black couple of shacks with no one to be found. So he hiked back down with his bike's battery, we swapped it into my bike, and luckily finally put an end to the day's excitement.
Father, Son, and the Holy Dirt Bike Gods. Amen.
Yeah, baby!
We were like, wow, we just had a hell of a day. Let's get a nice hotel. And then we just like rode
such a smart move.
farther and farther into the jungle, and we're like, this is fucking weird. And here we are.
Sunrise is happening there around now, and there's just an incredible amount of wildlife like going off all around us. This hummingbird just keeps checking us out, and we're hearing like howler monkeys all over. Also, all the plants here are insanely sized. I think we have some of these in California, but they're definitely not this big.
We had a spicy start to the morning, having to immediately ride back down the steep turns that kicked our asses the night before, but we luckily made it out and headed towards Lake Arenal while we crossed our fingers for an update from Danny. We got into an adorable traffic jam from a pack of curious Cotamundis, and then hung out under a 200-foot tall, 500-year-old ceiba tree as the sun sank behind the mountains.
Saturday came and I couldn't stand waiting around any longer, so I decided to ride 4 hours to the package's last known location in Honduras and planned to search for it when Monday rolled around. It has been 10 days now since the incident at the border happened. We're almost at the end of our trip. It's getting to the point of the trip where Jonah and Jesse, they've been waiting in Costa Rica for me. They have to go. And I'm still stuck back here in Honduras, just waiting for my plate to come in. A plate that I don't even know will work. Now I'm most likely gonna have to ride all the way to Panama alone, which is a 20-hour drive from where I am. Unless my plate shows up today, which it doesn't seem like it is, because DHL is just, it's stuck in customs, and it's been stuck in customs for like almost a week now. I'm honestly just going a little crazy, being alone and stuck in a hotel. As a last-ditch effort, I hopped on my bike and just randomly decided to show up at the airport and search for the package. So I didn't know what else to do, so I just came to the airport and started looking around, and it's somewhere in this warehouse. I'm just trying to get it. Just as I was about to get the box, everyone at the customs office took lunch, so I rode back to the hotel to grab my stuff. Alright, so back at the hotel, I'm gonna pack up, get over there, get the plate, get it mounted on my bike, and head straight to the border. If I make it to Nicaragua by tonight, Jesse and Jonah should still have time to wait for me, so then I can meet them, and then I don't have to do the whole drive alone. Fingers crossed, that would be amazing. Holy shit. Gracias. So all that effort for this, which is a pretty damn fucking real looking plate. So hopefully this works at the border. It's my last shot. Plate is on. We are getting the hell out of here. Onwards to the border.
We are crossing our fingers and toes and arms and everything else that this goes smoothly and it works out, because holy shit, this has been such a long road. We're really, really excited and hopeful that he'll be joining us tomorrow.
I'm somewhat close to the border, so I'm gonna take the GoPro off and just freaking cross my fingers that they let me in tonight. Guess what country I'm in?
You in Nicaragua right now?
Yeah, I'm fucking in, finally.
Let's go! Oh my god! Yes!
I'm so fucking happy that it works and I'm here. Holy shit. It only took 10 days to figure out.
I'm so fucking happy.
Yeah, at long last. Holy shit.
Me fucking too.
Danny is cruising across Nicaragua. We're a couple hours south of the border, so we're gonna go up and meet him. But just while we pack up our stuff, we have El Thick Boy, the hotel dog here hanging out with us. We'll be out of here soon.
Hell yeah, Danny. I am never going to Nicaragua again. No shot.
Let's go.
So excited to put the helmet on and like hear you guys in the cops. Hello? Hello? It felt so good to be riding with each other again. 24 hours before this, I didn't know if I would make it to Panama at all. The time that I spent alone honestly just made me feel really grateful to have friends like Jonah and Jesse. We had over 600 miles to cover, so we rode late into the night and would be up early again the next morning. Finally done our last border crossing of the trip, and we're so stoked to be in Panama. But then
My chain just fell off the bike. It just felt like I slipped into neutral all of a sudden. We'll see if we can fix it on the side of the road here.
front sprocket feels a little bit loose. We're gonna try and pull the wheel back even more, grease it up, and hopefully it makes it the next 5 hours. Trying to tighten Jonah's axle and laid my whole arm on the muffler by accident.
It's making me really hungry.
Yeah.
It's making me kind of hungry, personally.
I think someone doesn't want us to get to Panama City. We got going for like 100 yards and just got pulled over. Jesse's the only one who got a ticket for some reason.
I'm a lucky man.
He was just like, all right, you guys are good. Except for that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Last night we got about like within an hour and a half of Panama City, and we're all just kind of feeling tired, so we just camped in this random place, but today is like the final day, so we have like an hour and a half more of riding, get to Panama City, store the bikes, and that's it. So yeah, it's weird the trip is ending, but to be honest, I'm just happy to be here with these guys.
I'm the most excited.
Excitado?
Definitely excitado. Yeah, it has been a long journey. We're stoked to be all back together, even though it's just for ass logistics. Yeah. But it's a lot better than ass logistics separated.
That's true. Today, here's a checklist. See the Panama Canal, clean the bikes, bring them to where we're storing them for the next little bit.
Cry deeply.
Sob together in the hotel room. There are no roads connecting North and South America. The route stops at the Darien Gap, a 60-mile stretch of dense jungle known to be extremely dangerous because of its rough terrain and drug trafficking. We wouldn't be crossing it, so our bikes would stay in Panama City before being shipped to Colombia for next year's ride.
Just had like a moment of like this like wave hit us as we looked at these signs saying the Panama Canal. Just thinking about the fact that we rode here from my driveway in LA. It's just like a weird, really, really cool moment. It's just crazy to be here. I've made it this far.
We've just gone through a lot of shit to get here. Not only like my situation at the border, but so many bike problems and like border crossings and obstacles we had to overcome. So this is really cool. Central America was a weird one. It was so different from our first leg through Mexico. But we came into this trip looking for an adventure. One where every day we woke up and weren't sure how the day was going to go. In the over 7,000 miles since we left LA, we found absolutely incredible landscapes around every corner. We experienced endless kindness from so many different people and laughed our asses off more times than we could begin to remember. We also had things fall apart. There were days where we could barely find food, sweat through every square inch of our clothing, had to abandon our drones for half the trip, and almost lost our minds from the countless border crossings. We got stung, burned, beaten, and bruised. We got separated. Our plans completely unraveled, but at the end of the day, that's really what we signed up for. We didn't want easy. We wanted to see what we were capable of. As we get older, it becomes clear that the times we remember the most are when the going gets tough. There were moments where we didn't think we'd finish the ride together at all, but because of the struggle, making it to the end of the trip alongside each other meant so much more. At the end of the day, we made it, and we made it together. very high-tech method of forging documents.
Just had that too new look. Dirty it up a little bit.
It's gonna look like it's been on a
Oh my god, that looks great! Nice job! Let's go! You filthy fuck! Alright, packing for this year, and I have a new and improved, smaller, black, probably less stainable pillow. Hopefully this one survives a little better than the last one.
Hello, sir.
Food video.